Swastika Ajahn. Sorry.
Yes. สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
I think, okay, Jonathan would just like to say something to Ajahn.
Please. สวัสดีค่ะคุณโจนาธานค่ะ
He's just having a technical problem with his computer, so maybe a little bit later. Oh.
Sawadee-kup, Tanajan. Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you? So
I'm fine, thanks, Sajan, but unfortunately I won't be able to join the discussions in Bangkok this time. I'm very sorry that I'll be missing them. I have a medical, I have to go back to Sydney for some further medical examination. So I'll be joining you from on Zoom for the discussions, but sorry not to be there in person.
ค่ะไม่เป็นไรนะคะธรรมะเป็นยาวิเศษค่ะ
Right. Thank you, Ajahn.
ค่ะหวังว่าจะหายเร็วและพบกันใหม่เดือนสิงหากันยา if you can
Thank you, Ajahn.
ค่ะหายเร็วๆค่ะ
Everything's okay, Ajahn. I'm sure it's going to, every treatment will be fine. Thank you very much, Ajahn.
ค่ะดีใจมากค่ะที่คุณโจนาธานได้รับการรักษาเร็วนะคะค่ะ
Thank you.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadee-kup.
Does anyone have anything they would like to start with? Nina has just gone. I think it's a good reminder, like we were discussing last time, that life is just the rising and falling away of dhammas, no matter what the circumstances, because what's important is the letting go of someone or something there. And actually just the different moments now, seeing, hearing, thinking, each one arises and is gone instantly. And it's always like this. And so even when the circumstances may seem difficult, there can be the joy, or there can be the cheerfulness because of letting go of the baggage of the idea of I at those moments of understanding. So the Dhamma is always the best medicine, no matter what the circumstances. And Jyotika, just at the end of the discussion last time, you mentioned that for you, you felt the best kusala. I asked you what is the best kusala, and you said the best kusala was to keep going with patience. But what do you mean by to keep going?
To sit here.
It's a good topic to discuss more.
To sit here. To sit here, to come here. You can understand me, no?
I can understand you, because we think of sitting here and we think of the value of listening, but like we discussed last time, the kusala and akusala follows so rapidly. So even while sitting here, moments of kusala, moments of careful, wise considering, but also many moments of attachment, many moments of ignorance, many moments of thinking of other topics. So that's why life has to come down to a moment, even now, even while sitting here. Someone may go to a Dhamma discussion and not hear anything useful for them, or there may not be no conditions to consider wisely. So even when we talk about the great value of coming here and sitting and listening, there has to be more understanding of what is useful and why. because it's not just about being in a certain place or not about just opening the book, but the understanding at each moment.
No, but when you were asking me what is the biggest, or Jonathan was asking me, what is the kusala for me? And I thought it is just not giving up. But then not giving up has also a lot to do with not giving up here, very literally. Not giving up to listen to this, to hear to the discussion to come.
The patience to understand, to persevere, not giving up, the listening to the truth.
Yeah, and so often to have the feeling that I cannot formulate a question.
René Oostergaan of René?
Dus de telefoon
Hallo,
kwam.
dankjewel.
We never know what will be experienced from moment to moment, whether it will be a loud sound or what kind of visible object or what will be experienced, all by conditions. No one planned it, no one intended to suddenly hear a loud sound, but it shows how anatta all dhammas are. And instantly there's a hearing the sound and immediately thinking about, oh, whose telephone or what is it? And so quickly there's thinking about the shape, the details, the ideas about what is heard, all by conditions.
I'm back again.
Is there anything further you would like to ask about, Jyotika?
I think it does take too much time. I think when I ask, because I still am wrestling with the question that it is important to see that there is the question of wrong view, and the other thing is when it is unwholesome is wrong view as a part and attachment. And if there is still wrong view, as in my own life, that I have not seen so long the thing from the eye, and had the idea that I did a lot of good things. Is that possible? Is that nonsense?
Kusala is kusala. For example, moments of kindness, moments of sharing, moments of generosity, moments of understanding are kusala. Moments in between of taking it for my good deeds, my kusala. Akusala, because it's wrong view at those moments, the idea that it belongs to me, that I perform these deeds or the other performs the deeds, someone that is there. So that's what I meant when I said even now when listening to the Dhamma, moments of kusala and akusala following each other rapidly. So the kusala is beneficial, but the akusala just accumulates more akusala, but better to know it. If one just thought that when doing good deeds, my good deeds, that it's all good, no understanding of the subtlety of Dhamma, the subtlety of how quickly akusala follows, moments of kusala, like moments of generosity, and so quickly attachment to the giving, to the offering, to I that has done the kusala. So the life just exists in a moment. Kusala is just for a moment only and then gone. It doesn't belong to anyone. Just like the hearing of that sound is conditioned, so is the kusala, so is the akusala.
And so they live besides each other. This is both there. Kusala
they follow each other rapidly, but more akusala than kusala, even now.
Yeah.
And none of them belong to I. Each one is a conditioned reality arising by many different conditions following each other, one after the other.
Yeah. I have to think.
Jyotika.
It has to grow. It has to. I don't know. It has to. It still has to become clear. I think. I trust it will become clear one day. Yeah.
And Jyotika, going back to your
John is always coming back to me.
No, yes, I am. But I wanted to go back to the answer you gave last week when I asked you what is the form of kusala that you most admire, because you had been talking about the good deeds done by Mother Teresa, for example.
Yeah.
And so I meant in terms of the kinds of kusala that can be performed, such as, for example, helping others who are less privileged than ourselves, for example. That's a kind of kusala. Or helping people who are who are ill and need assistance in that regard. So of all the possible kinds of kusala, you mentioned persistence or carrying on, I think. I forget the words you used, but that is not itself, is it, a kind of kusala, because there can be persistence in what is kusala or persistence in what is akusala. So
I said not giving up, and I meant not giving up listening to the Dhamma.
I see. So we
And
could
not
say,
giving up.
so your answer would be listening to the Dhamma is the kind of kusala that you think is most admirable.
I don't know if it is the most, but that was the thing what came
Right.
first
Yep.
up immediately.
Oh, that's fair enough. I think that we know that there has to be the hearing of the Dhamma in order for understanding to develop.
Yeah.
And that's why we join in discussions like this, because there's the opportunity of hearing things explained in a way that is helpful. And it's difficult to compare that kind of kusala with the more conventionally appreciated kinds of kusala, like helping other people with their physical, mental, or emotional needs, which, as we've said, is also a kind of kusala. But the extent to which one can help others with kusala, of course, depends on the extent to which kusala has been developed. Kusala of different kinds has been developed in the first place. Because as we know and have been discussing, there can be the idea of there can just be the idea that a stronger idea of self-identity, shall we say, from one's kusala. One can have conceit, for example, at the extent to which one is able to help other people, or that sort of thing. And it's good to appreciate the difference between the moments of kusala and the moments that are not kusala. It may be the conceit, attachment, and wrong view.
But if you ask what is the biggest thing you validate in kusala, then I think the wisdom.
Yes, and that is not only a correct answer, but we can appreciate the truth of that without the wisdom, that the kusala is not of the highest level, not of the highest level that it could be, even if wisdom has not been developed to a very high degree as yet. But even so, wisdom helps to purify all the other kinds of kusala. So, and it is the one form of kusala that leads to the eradication of akusala. The other forms of kusala do not. They lead at most to suppression of akusala, not to its eradication.
And may I ask you then, what is your highest appreciation of the dukkha, of the kusala?
I think the most important thing is the understanding of what is appearing at the present moment, because it's based on one's perception of the present moment reality that one's whole worldview is developed. So if one thinks of the present moment as being a continuity of the same person, of the same reality, one thinks that what is in control of the present moment is some overriding soul or being, then of course that is how one will perceive the world at large. And it's only by seeing the momentariness of consciousness and other realities that one gets the idea that things are completely otherwise.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult one to grasp, even intellectually, until there is a certain development, and still until one has considered it over a long period of time.
Thank you well. Thank you.
Perhaps Ajahn would like to add more to this topic.
I think that all dhammas are in a moment, this moment or that moment, so very close, but not enough understanding of the truth of it. That's why just one word can be considered a little more, little by little, in different manners, aspects. That's why it can lead to understand the truth. Nothing to be done, because right understanding works its way. At moment of understanding, there is less and less wrong understanding of the truth, which conditioned by attachment and aversion and ignorance, unknown. That's why we just learn to understand the truth instead of no understanding, ignorance, and attachment as before. But it's quite a great task, because the accumulation of ignorance and attachment and all other akusala so great, accumulated. That's why understanding only, to be truthful to the truth, to understand even at moment of considering right now that there is no one, that is the idea, but it's so true that it can continue to hear about it, the truth of it, little by little, from what Buddha said. That's why when we read or just happen to hear the word of Buddha, different ones, it's time to consider, to understand the truth. But because each word is about the truth of what is there in different manners, to develop the understanding of that which is so close and so near, in order to just begin to attend to the characteristic which we have heard a lot, like the nama or the citta, the chief of experiencing an object. It's not just a word, but having heard such word on and on and on, it can condition the moment of beginning to think about that which is there is not that which appears, little by little, from the moment of birth, what is there? Can one know that there is citta at that moment, even it's there? That's why in order to understand the truth of it, no matter who knows it or not, but it's there. But it cannot be known when the object is not the object of this world through the six doorways. That's why even no experiencing at that moment of any object through one of the six doorways, it's there. The reality, experiencing an object. For example, while one is sleeping, nothing is there. But at the moment when one wakes up, that can be the moment of understanding that moment is a moment of sleeping. There must be the citta, which does not experience any object right now as through eye or ear or mind but it's there. So just think about that which is there, no shape, no form, it's there arising and falling away, but it does not appear until the moment when the object is the object of what is there now through one of the six doorways. It's there before that, and it arises by conditions to experience its object. Like at moment of birth, there must be the object of the birth consciousness by karma and so on. Just begin to understand life, that in order to understand that which is there from birth, it's there unknown until there are conditions for that which does not experience the object of the six doorways to appear, begin to appear as seeing right now. But in truth, it is non-stop arising and falling away, different ones all the time, until it's time to see or the time to hear. So the truth is that the reality which arises and experiences from birth and then on up to now, it performs its function as a reality. It cannot like or dislike. Its function is just arising to experience an object. Whether the object is known or not, it's there all the time. That's why we learn to understand the truth that it's there from birth to death, but no one knows if there's no words about what is there, as it is a reality. No shape, no form, just arises to experience the object. So at moment of seeing, there can be the beginning to trace back to what is there before. No seeing, but it's there. And then there are conditions for the moment when it has the different object by conditions, not as before, which the object is not the object of this world. So at this moment, there is seeing, and the moment of other cittas, no matter it is Panchatavara, Vachana, Sampatichana, Sandriya, are not known. Even that which says is not known, as it is a moment of experiencing an object by a reality which arises to just experience the object clear. Then the other mental factors which arises together experience the same object, but it does not have the function of that which is achieved of experiencing. It has its own characteristic, different ones. What are there? Not only the reality which sees, but there are also other mental factors arising together. But it does not matter at all. Why do we have to understand this? Otherwise, what are there cannot be known. Because at the moment of being attached to any object, it's not the moment of experience. It's not the reality which experiences that object which is attached by a reality which arises to just attach to what is there experienced, but not as achieved. Learn to understand life just from moment to moment. Nothing to be done because they are all different realities by condition arising and falling, performing the function at different moments. That's all in life. That's why understanding the reality which always arises from moment to moment, from birth to death, to understand that it is different from other reality. Without it, no world can appear at all, no experiencing, no understanding, no liking, disliking, see? That's why learn to understand the truth, and right understanding works its way, little by little, to begin to understand the moment of seeing, not the object of seeing, that which experiencing, the object which appears to one of the six doorways, little by little, because now even we talk about the six doorways, but the object of the sixth doorway does not appear, as it is different moment, different one. For example, seeing, hearing, it seems that how can it be known as it's different? To understand the truth little by little, and it works its way to begin to understand different moments, to understand that no matter what appears is the sound or the smell, there must be the reality which arises and experience it clearly. It is a reality different from attachment or aversion. See, little by little, it's there in life. And if there is no thought about it at all, can there be moment of thinking about it, attend to the characteristic which is there, so close, but it seems so far away, because ignorance and attachment covers up all the time. That's why it begins to be closer, to be known, because of understanding. Begin to understand that even that which is the chief of experiencing each moment is not known. Each moment not known. See, that's why the understanding of the truth of the enormous ignorance and attachment will be known little by little. And that is the way to have less and less ignorance and attachment. And right understanding develops so very subtly, because who knows that now? Hearing, considering, understanding, even little by little, from moment to moment, from last time and this time and other time, condition the understanding to develop gradually, secretly, subtly, now, and understanding the path that it has to be, the understanding of what is there, when it's there, to begin to attend to the characteristic which experience, begin to forget about what appears as something as before, little by little. That's why the Four Noble Truths, all four, has to be stage by stage, by way of pariyati, understanding that no other way to experience the truth without the understanding, little by little, of that which appears as what is there. The chief of experiencing sees, see, it sees, that's all. Until it can be the moment of directly understanding it, not the other object which appears, little by little. Just have confidence of the truth that it can be known, but it has to develop by hearing, considering, and be truthful to the truth.
Yeah.
There are two different realities. One is ignorance, the other is understanding. How much of them in life, from moment to moment, but right understanding, understand the truth that it can be realized, even not now, but it begins to understand, not just the word, but the reality which sees now, which hears now, little by little, by conditions. Very, very great patience not to have I try or I concentrate or try to have understanding or direct understanding, because when it's there, it's known. When it's not there, it cannot show up because no conditions for its arising to be such certain states yet. So now the understanding of no one developed little by little. At moment of understanding the truth of what is there, so close because it's now no one at all, only that which arises and experience that object, but no attention to the object as before. Otherwise, there cannot be the understanding of the experiencing of that object. And understand why sometimes nothing appears as object at moment of sleeping. By conditions, karma condition it to continue on, not to end up as death yet, because karma hasn't ended yet to condition what is there and what is not there in life. Just understanding, is that true? Beginning to get closer to the truth of what is there, little by little, by conditions, see? It needs great patience. Just learn to understand what is there in life, little by little, to condition the moment of attending to the reality which experiences the object, or any reality by conditions, not only in words. Because there must be pariyatti, the first round of the Ariya Satya, the 4 Ariya Satya, including the path, which is so very subtle, as it is now at this moment.
Ajahn, seeing arises in the process, and I understand that seeing itself is more clearly than the citta before seeing or the citta after seeing in that process. And you explained before about this subject, but it's still a difficult subject. I read in Sarah's book, Dhamma Now, also she's referring to those words when there is more understanding of citta before and citta after seeing, there is more understanding of no self. But it's still very useful if you can explain more about this subject.
Pardon? The subject on what?
The citta before seeing in the
That's right.
process, or the citta after seeing, it doesn't seem so clear because the object does not appear. But it is important in order to understand that there is no self.
That's why if we don't have this question at all, how can there be the understanding of the pure, the truth of that which is not attachment, aversion, or any mental factor? Because it just arises and experiences the object only. No like or dislike, no not manasikara, not vitaka, not feeling, but it's a reality which is the chief of experiencing the object only. That's why without it, no object appear, no reality appear, nothing there, no world. If that reality does not arise, to just experience the object so clear. See, one characteristic of a reality, it's not feeling, it's not attachment, it's not anything like other mental factors, but it arises just to perform its function, experiencing the object clearly, more than the other mental factors or the nama dhatu which arises with it. So begin to understand the truth that it is different from all other realities which arise to experience the object by its characteristic and its function. It cannot perform the function of just experiencing the object clear at all. Like now, the object which is seeing, what sees it just see. No thought, no vitaka, nothing at all, only arises and experiences the object, and then follow it instantly, and it conditions the next citta to experience the same object, depending on conditions, whether the object is different or not. That's why in order to just understand a reality, not the other, but it is a reality, one reality, the reality which arises to experience the object, and thinking about the function of experiencing the object. See, it has to be moment of experience the object clearer than the other reality which experience the object arising together, but it does not perform that function. For example, of seeing, the characteristic of that which is seeing appear to that citta so clear, only just one moment and then fall away. That's why we talk about the citta before seeing and the citta after seeing. They are different by conditions, and we begin to understand only that which arises to experience the object from birth, that it's there. The object is not known, but it's there, arising and experiencing the object. To understand the different conditions for different moments of experiencing an object. Even the function, the reality which arises to experience only the object clearly has to be known that it's different from other reality. That's why we talk from the beginning of it, at birth, it's there. It has to experience the object. It is the chief of experience, that particular object, which is not the object of the six doorways of the world, because no matter what world, whatever appears has to be one of the six doorways. But when it's not that reality which has to arise by conditions, still it's conditioned to arise and falls away, experience the unknown object. And why is that unknown object? Because it's not the object of the sixth doorway. And why it's not? Because when it arises, first moment, the birth consciousness has its own object from past life, the object which is there before death. Excuse me.
Just to give Ajahn a pause, I think it relates to the point that she was mentioning before about how there has to be the development of understanding of the Four Noble Truths stage by stage. There has to be the pariyati, the wise intellectual understanding of the nature of realities. In the first place, understanding has to develop by considering wisely about dhammas. So when it comes to citta, when there is the considering of citta, as Ajahn was stressing, it's the chief of experiencing. And each chitta and rises and falls away throughout life by anantara and samanantara, paccaya, and other conditions, one chitta following another by conditions at each moment in life. So it may seem impossible to understand anything about the other chittas in the sense door process. But the point is not to try to understand. There may never be understanding directly of Sampatichana and Santirana chitta, for example, but there can be the beginning of considering wisely what the Buddha taught about the different chittas arising and falling away, conditioning each other in the process, in order to understand more clearly what chitta is and to let go of the idea of self, someone experiencing, someone seeing, someone hearing, as I was discussing with Jyotika at the beginning. So this is the point of the wise considering, to begin to understand that life is just in a moment, one chitta following another, all by conditions, not by anyone's wish or control at all. So I think that the understanding clearer is understanding more about the nature of chitta, the nature of realities arising and falling away. And seeing appears, Sampatichana doesn't appear. But it's not a matter of trying to understand seeing. It depends whether the conditions for understanding to arise or not. And gradually the understanding accumulates. If there's no understanding of the characteristic of seeing now, there will never be the understanding of the arising and falling away of seeing, or the conditioned nature of seeing. So the understanding gradually accumulates on. And even when there are moments of direct understanding of the characteristic of reality, still the pariyati, the wise considering, has to continue developing on as well. Is there anything else on that point, Nina?
I find it a difficult subject, but I know that Ajahn often refers to it about the chitta before seeing, the chitta after seeing, because nothing seems to appear. The object does not appear. As you say, Sampatichana, we don't know much about that. But we know there is Sampatichana because the Buddha taught about the processes of chitta.
And usually there's the idea of the seeing lasting. There is the idea of permanence. But by beginning to consider that how rapidly each chitta falls away, and each chitta in the process before and after, and followed by the mind or process, each one has to arise just as it is by conditions, by niyama and all kinds of conditions. It cannot be any other sequence or any other ways. So it's just the considering that more about the nature of chitta, to let go more and more the idea of someone, something experiencing, and that seeing as lasting, whereas in fact it's just a flash when visible object appears and then gone. The other chittas in the process don't see the visible object at all. So it's just light appearing at that moment of seeing, and then other chittas following it, mind or processes following, all in darkness, just to show how no one is there, nothing is there at all. And I think, as she often mentions, usually people find it easier to understand about the object, the visible object that's seen, the hardness. We think a lot about the object, but what about this moment of experiencing, the chitta which is experiencing now, experiencing the object so clearly just as it is, and then gone. So gradually there has to be the letting go, the detachment from the idea of someone experiencing, because no one there to be found at all. And even when there's the idea of keep going or being patient, like Jyotika was discussing. Usually it's the idea of, I need to keep going, someone needs to keep going, but it's just a moment that is going and then gone. Seeing goes, experience its object and then is gone. Kusala, akusala, just for a moment and then gone. No one to keep going, no one to do anything at all. And that's why I think it's liberating and joyful to understand Dhamma at this moment, no matter what the circumstances, the difficulties in life may be.
And let's consider a little more about Chitta. Because no matter how much we talk about it, if it's not the way to understand Chitta yet, it cannot be understood, or it cannot appear as the object of understanding. That's why just talk about Chitta, the chief of experiencing the object, is not enough, because that is the intellectual understanding. But now it is the chief of experiencing that which is seen, begin to understand this moment. And in order to understand the nature of Chitta, which arises just to experience the object only clearer, that's why we have to talk about moment when it does not experience the object which is seen or heard like now. But even that moment, it's there. No matter the object does not appear or appear, Chitta is there arising and experience what is there. It doesn't matter at all, because it can experience everything, even Panya or anything, but it cannot understand as Panya. It just arises to experience the object clearly, to know the difference between the object, different object and different characteristic and different shade of form of the object. That's why we learn to understand it from birth. There must be Chitta. Why? Because that which arises to be hard, just hard or soft or smell, cannot experience anything. But that which experiences the object is right now. And how come? Not just this moment. Trace back to the moment of birth. It's there. But the object is not known. That's why while one is fast asleep, where am I? Who am I? How about my possession? And on. No idea, nothing appear at all. But when one wakes up, it's there experiencing different objects. That's why its nature is just to arise and experience the object at birth. It experiences the object, which is the object of past life that we have studied before. That's why that moment it performs the function. That's why even it is the reality which experiences an object. It has its own function at different moments too. But the nature of it, no matter it performs what function, the nature of it is arises and experience object clearly. That's why at birth, even it does not appear, does it experience the object clearer than the other mental factor which experience the object? This is the beginning to understand the difference between the chief of experiencing. It's one, only one. We call it, a Buddha used the term, Chitta or Vijnana, it doesn't matter, but it cannot be changed. Its nature is the chief of experiencing an object, even the object does not appear, or whether it appears through what doorway, it experiences the object, not understanding, not liking or disliking, different nature, different reality, but it's there. In order to understand it, that Chitta itself is not known at all if no one understands it and talk about it and helping and use the term to have it known clearer and clearer as it is, not as the other reality which experiences the object. See, just have attention, begin to understand what is there, not just the word seeing, but it's there, the reality, no shape, no form, arises and experience the object and then fall away instantly. Is that true? Just have the firm confidence of the truth, little by little, of each different reality, to understand more and more about no one there at all. What is there is that which is only one reality only. So when we talk about citta, we have to understand it. Otherwise, how can it appear? Because no matter what is experienced, the object appears, but not the reality which experiences the object. Even right now, no matter its attachment or thinking or worry or whatever, citta is not those reality, but it's that which arises and experiences the object. See, is there any doubt about its characteristic? Or it begins to understand it is different from cetasikas, other reality, which arises and experiences the object by its nature to attach or to feel towards that object or what. All are different realities. But if the understanding of each one is so clear, not enough, there must be doubt or there must be clinging or ignorance about the truth because it does not appear. So how can it be known clear as it's just citta, not other reality? The same as other reality we are talking about. If it does not appear to panya, to right understanding, how can it be known that it's not anyone or anything or any other reality? It's only that which is there as it is, its nature, attachment or aversion or other mental factor cetasikas, different ones. That's why in order to understand each one, we can talk about in different manners, like at birth, it's there. It does not change. It arises and experiences the object, even the first moment of life at birth. So it does not change its characteristic, no matter the object appears or not appear, it's there, experiences an object. That's why we learn to understand the characteristic which arises and experiences at birth. It arises and experiences the object, unknown object, by conditions, not conditioned to have seeing, hearing instantly as human being in this world, or cat and dog in this world. All depends on different conditions to be different in different planes. Much more to learn about, but learn to understand the truth of one characteristic of a reality, to have firm confidence of it. So it can be object to attention to its characteristic, little by little. Otherwise, it just arises and falls away in life, eons and eons ago. No understanding of the truth of it. That's why condition, that's why understand the moment of birth, to understand that it's there, but it does not appear. And by conditions from then on, there can be many moments of keep on, to be Pawanka, to continue life on and on. Why? To experience the object conditioned by karma for another moment of from such different karma to conditioned moment of seeing that which is not the karma which conditioned citta to arise and experience the same object as the object before death and so on. Each moment is conditioned. It's there until the condition for The reality which arises, it has to arise to experience the object itself, experience the object which impinges on the eye sense or the ear sense, see, by condition. But it doesn't change its nature. It just arises and experiences an object. No change. It cannot lie. It does not be understanding or ignorance or anything else, no matter who knows it or not. It's there when it is the reality which is conditioned to arise and experience the object only. Otherwise, no attention to it from birth to death, on, and think about other things like attachment, aversion, ignorance, right understanding, and so on. But what about that? The reality which is the chief of experience, the object. The world is under its power. Without it, no world, nothing can appear at all. So understand what is there in life, each moment, to experience the object very clear, because its nature is to experience clearly of that which is the object. A little more understanding and attention to that characteristic which now arises before we can talk about its function at different moments by conditions. There must be the understanding of the nature of it, so that there can be the understanding of different moments of that which its nature is just arise to experience the object. When there is the understanding of its nature, there can be the understanding of the moment of birth. It's not sampatichana, it's not seeing, but it's that which is conditioned by karma. Before birth, there cannot be the moment of birth, not the moment of that particular reality which arises to perform the function, to be different by conditions, to be born as this or to be born as that, different ones, different planes of existence, different characteristics, different habits, and so on, by other conditions. That's why we learn to understand the truth, the nature of one characteristic. And then there can be understanding of each different one at moment of birth, at moment of seeing, at moment before seeing, at moment after seeing, and so on. And the truth is that right understanding begins to be true to the truth, to be truthful, that actually in life, moments of ignorance and attachment is so very quickly to arise by conditions, covers up the truth of what experiences the object and what is that which is not the chief of experiences the object, but it has its own nature, like attachment or aversion, for example. In order to understand it, in truth, there is no being at all. There are different realities. And this is developing little by little, secretly, to get closer to understand the moment of seeing right now, or the moment of hearing, or any moment, beginning to understand the truth of the reality which just arises and experiences the object. As soon as it has performed its function, it falls away instantly, because it's conditioned just to arise. When it has arisen, it falls away. And when there's the understanding of the truth of what is there, it is the beginning, very gradual, letting go, wrong understanding and the idea of self, but not enough. This is the intellectual understanding to condition moment of directly understand that which sees, or any moment. At moment of attachment, it's not the attachment, but without it, which experience the object clearly, there cannot be attachment of that particular object. Or by condition, so many different conditions. That's why when there are different conditions, there are different moments, like seeing is not the moment before it and not the moment after it, because just one moment of seeing, how very short, very quick, arising and falling away, who knows? Because it sees and then gone. So the other moment, the next moment, which now it seems like there is always seeing, but in truth, seeing in a moment, but the next moment experience the same object, but it cannot see. So it needs more cetasika to condition moment of just experience the object which is seen, but it cannot see, but it can experience that object. By condition to just experience the object as a seeing. Who can change the way it is, but the citta is citta, is the chief of experiencing the object until it's known by way of cittanupassana satipatthana. See, includes every moment because it's the unknown until it's known. Gradually, little by little. And the truth is the difference between the citta and the other reality, one at a time, very closely, quickly, rapidly, like now. So it depends on understanding, because it understands not just that object, that reality, but also other following citta and cetasikas. When what appears not at will, but by conditions, showing the nothingness of all dhammas, clearer and clearer when there is clearer understanding. Is it out about anything, Kunina?
Yeah, thank you very much. With all these things that you explained, I feel that we have to consider it again and again. And we can't understand it straight away because it's a deep subject.
That's why we learn about the Four Noble Truths. And this is the path leading to understand. That is the path, only path leading to experiencing what is there with understanding stage by stage until it's the object is experienced with understanding clearer and clearer, little by little, by conditions. So it takes quite a very great impatience, not by I or anyone to do anything, but to understand little by little of the difference between different realities, to understand that even what reality is there, it cannot be anyone at all or anything at all. It is absolute reality, ultimate reality. Nobody can change.
Betty? We can't hear you, Betty.
Sorry. I found a quote in your book that was very meaningful to me to help understand what is understanding. And it went something like this: right understanding at just that moment is letting go just a very little of such wrong understanding. In other words, right understanding is basically the letting go of wrong understanding. And I'm thinking about that. I mean, it did just help me a tremendous amount. And but I do want to ask a question, and that is, what is the difference between Sakaya Ditti and Attanuditi? It seems to me they're the same.
So they all relate to the wrong idea of someone or something, but Sakaya Ditti is when what is seen or heard, or the seeing or the hearing, is taken for my seeing, my experience, my body, something here. So it concerns oneself. Whereas Attanuditi refers to other kinds of wrong understanding about your seeing, your hearing, the tree outside, the table outside. So the realities outside oneself that are taken for someone or something, and all other kinds of wrong understanding. So Sakaya Ditti specifically relates to the wrong understanding of realities that are taken for oneself or for one's body. And in the text, it says that it is because of Sakaya Ditti that there is the arising of all other kinds of wrong understanding. If there's a wrong understanding of something here taken for an arm, there's the wrong idea of something there taken for your arm, or the God's arm, or the tree, or anything else. So all the wrong understandings stem from Sakaya Ditti. And this is why we read about the eradication of Sakaya Ditti and all other kinds of wrong understanding at the stage of Sotapanna. And as you mentioned, the understanding develops, and at each little bit of understanding, there's a gradual wearing away of the wrong understanding. Just a moment now of intellectual understanding. It's just visible objects seen, not something there. It's just a moment of letting go just a little. But of course, the wrong understanding will arise again and again. Often it's the subtle asava of ditti. So as soon as there is seeing and hearing, there is the subtle idea of something, someone, unknown, long before there's any thinking in words about it. So very common, even during a Dhamma discussion, like I mentioned to Jyotika, even now there's sitting, listening to Dhamma, but after moments of seeing and hearing, the subtle wrong understanding, attachment, ignorance comes in instantly. Daily life.
How much accumulations for that?
Yes. Better to know it than to just think it's all kusala because we're listening to Dhamma, or all kusala because one's making an offering. Better to be realistic and know that the kusala is just for a moment, and there are countless moments of akusala following. Thanks, Betty. Good question. Perhaps Ajahn would like to add more to it. Does anyone else have any topics they would like to bring up today? Alan or Tadao or Alberto or anyone?
Sorry,
Shanti?
I didn't turn on the mic.
Go ahead, Ajahn.
Okay. When something is there as something, is atta, right? Something is atta. No matter what, the tree, the sun, the moon, the sun, something, the moon, something, the tree, something. When it's taken for something, it's atta, not anatta, not just one reality, which does not belong to anyone, but it's taken for something there. It is attanutiti. So when we talk about the arm, which arm? That is your arm, and this is my arm. So the one which is not mine is attanutiti, and the one which is mine is sakkayatiti. So it's the same sakkaya or atta because it's something, but it's taken by it's me or mine. It's sakkaya, belonging to me. Is there any doubt? The pen is attanutiti or sakkayatiti. See, never be sakkaya, not my eye or my leg or my hair or my bone at all. Whatever is not taken from to be me or mine is atta all the time. So it is a wrong understanding of taking it for atta, something. And when that something, this one, it's not the other, it's me. That is sakkayatiti. So that's why, by way of the attanutiti 20, so it is sakkayatiti 20 as well. Only whether that object is taken for me or mine, or just something like a pen or dog or cat. Attanutiti, because the dog is not me, the cat is not me, but it's a dog, a cat. So one cannot say that the other's arm is my arm at all. But the arm is the arm, atta. So is there attanutiti now or is there sakkayatiti now? See, when there is the understanding of something atta in life, what is known is atta as something all the time. And the sakkaya, that which is taken from me or mine, all the time. But it's something, not anatta. But in truth, they are all anatta. Or when it's not belong to anyone, like just a pen, not mine, not yours, but it's atta, something, it's a pen. And when it's my pen, it's not sakkayatiti because it's not part of what is taken for I. The feeling, attachment of whatever as I. When there's no understanding of the truth, that there are atta nutiti, wrong understanding of something, not just a reality.
Now, John, can we say it's the same mental factor with the same characteristic?
Because it's exactly something is something, but the idea that it's me or mine, to understand between what is taken from mine or me, or that which is not taken as mine or me, but it's attanutiti. That's why 20 of attanutiti and 20 of sakkayatiti, because they are titi. Attanutiti, and when it's sakkaya, because in life it's me and the others. The truth is that that's why there are two different words, atta for everything And Sakaya, only that which is taken for I see, I hear, I think, I like, my eye, my arm.
It's just like when we talk about hardness, for example, or reality. Actually, hardness is just hardness, but it's taken for that within me and that outside. So we read about inner and outer hardness, but actually it's just hardness, but it's taken for the one inside and the one outside. And it's the same with the ditthi. It's just the wrong idea of something, someone, but it's taken for the one here inside or the one there outside.
Even when one say, she's my daughter, but in truth, what titi is there? Attanutiti. Because the daughter is not me, so it's Attanutiti. Only I is Sakaya Titi.
It's a good topic to bring up, Betty. Does anyone else have anything? Do you have anything further, Betty, or does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask about or bring up?
No, but that helps to kind of categorize the ditthi, the different kinds of ditthi, between something that refers to what we think of as the self and that's something that has shape and form outside the self. There. Thank you for that. Both you and Ajahn.
Sita, do you have any topic you'd like to bring up? We haven't heard any of your topics for a while. Anything you'd like clarified or any topic, a new topic?
Sita, oh, please, unmute your mic.
Yeah, this an hour ago, I was talking with Nina about this nimitta, and I was still considering a lot of consideration to be done. This about the realization of all this process of rising and falling all at the same time. This nimitta. I was hearing the Dhamma discussion from what Nina asked the question about nimitta from 2 weeks ago. That's why needs a lot of consideration or still consideration.
Because it's just the sign of reality. We cannot experience just one unit or one reality, but they arise and fall away so fast. And that's why we just experience the sign of any reality, of seeing, of visible object. Not this very moment, because it's gone already. It reminds us how fast realities arise and fall away.
Yes. Many realities of rising and falling at the same time. That was.
well, it'd be more correct to say that many instances of the same reality arising and falling away one after the other.
Okay.
For example, seeing now, there can only be one seeing, one moment of seeing at a time. But in a flash, there are so many different idle processes followed by mind-or processes and other processes in between. So many, many moments, countless moments of seeing, but the characteristic of seeing can be known, it can appear, but the actual seeing has fallen away. All those moments of seeing have fallen away because they just arise in the idle process and see visible object and fall away. So when the seeing is known, the characteristic of seeing is known, it has to be the sign of seeing, the nimitta of seeing, which appears. So it's actually the nimitta of that characteristic of seeing, which is known, because the seeing itself has gone, but it all occurs so rapidly. The I-door and the mind-door processes follow each other rapidly. It's the characteristic of seeing that is experienced. But people may ask, how can seeing be known? How can anger be known? Because when there's anger, there's no understanding. When there's seeing, there's no understanding. And the object is a different object. And the answer is, it is because it's the nimitta, the sign of that characteristic, which is known.
Thank you, Sarah. But there are many, many nimittas also, sorry, to my understanding. Is it true here?
But only one nimitta can appear at a time.
At a
only
time,
one
okay.
nimitta of reality. If it is the sign of seeing which appears, then it's not the sign of hearing or the sign of anger or the sign of feeling. So citta can only experience one object. So it can only ever be the nimitta of one characteristic of reality that appears. So we don't have to think that there are so many nimittas, because at one moment, only one object is experienced at a time.
Thank you, Sarah.
And on your comment, it's just a brief one. You mentioned there's a lot of consideration to be done. I think it's not a matter of trying to work it out or trying to consider or trying to do something, but gradually, as Jyotika was implying, through considering, the understanding begins to seep through. It just begins to develop, but not by trying to understand, trying to consider, or thinking about doing it or catching it. So it's all by conditions. No one to do anything, nothing to be done. But by conditions, there will be the wise reflection, and understanding will develop naturally.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sita. Always good to see you here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put a note in the chat of the schedule of extra discussions there will be in the next 2 weeks. So the next Saturday, this Zoom will be at the same time, but there are going to be other ones. So I'll put a note in the chat, so anyone may like to make a copy or make notes. Okay. Anyone else, meanwhile, have anything to discuss about nimitta or ask about before we run out of time?
About nimitta, Ajahn told a simile of the paper, of the sheet of paper, where only one dot on the paper is not meaningful, and it's like when seeing just one moment of seeing a visible object is like one dot in the paper, on the paper, and because the eye sense is tiny and the moment is tiny too, so there is no enough. It's not enough for a visible object to be something meaningful like a shape or form, but many dots can make up many moments of seeing, can make up the visible object, the shape and form, and that's the nimitta of visible object. I think something on this line also helps to understand intellectually the meaning of nimitta, because one moment impinging of the visible object on the tiny eye base, it cannot be anything really. It needs many moments, so to make it more meaningful, more to make it nimitta, which can be which can have a meaning, which can have be meaningful to us. So
when we talk about citta right now, because who knows how many cittas are there arising and falling away now? But there can be known that there is a reality which experiences an object right now. For example, there is seeing, but who knows? There must be cittas many moments before seeing, and citta which sees falls away instantly as soon as when it sees, it falls away, and the other cittas follow, not only one on and on. Process to process, condition what is seen as something, and the seeing, no matter how many citta before it or after it, but what appears is only seeing. And that's why there is different stages of nimitta right now. Even there's no seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, drinking. Citta is not only one and then gone, never to arise again, but it conditioned after citta so very quickly. So what can be known is only that is the reality which experience the object before there can be the understanding of this moment. It's not seeing, it's moment before seeing, or this moment is not seeing, but it's after seeing, so on. So what appears can be known as nimitta, because the arising and falling away, just only one moment is not, cannot be known at all. That's why Buddha said that all conditioned dhammas arising and falling away can be known by way of nimitta. No matter seeing right now, who knows that it is only seeing which appears now, but there are citta before and after it, and before it so many moments of citta too. But what appears, no arising and falling away of anything at all. That's why the truth is so very unexpected, beyond expectation, how quickly it is arising and falling away. So what appears appear as that which experiences the object. But when its moment of seeing includes many moments before it or moment after it, but what is there is seeing, and then I like that which is seen, but there is always seeing there, see, all nimittas by way of nimitta of seeing, because the other citta cannot be known, only seeing is there. So it's not the moment of citta exactly, because there is also moments of citta arising before and after. So that seeing appears as nimitta of seeing, or of the reality which experiences the object. Right? This is the way to understand what is nimitta. a moment, only one moment of that which arises and falls away cannot be known by way of process. Begin from moment of Panchatavara Vachana, it's there before saying, who knows? Only that which experience an object. But as long as seeing is there, the understanding of other moments before and after seeing, can it be known just only one single moment at a time? That's why what appears beyond expectation of its rapidity, of the continuity of the arising and falling away, condition nimitta of one reality right now, nimitta of seeing, nimitta of thinking, nimitta of hearing, and so on, nimitta of feeling. But when it comes together as something like a piano or a pen, much more than just one nimitta, to condition the leg of a door, the head of a door there instantly, or even it's not the door, it can be anything seen instantly. As soon as one opens one's eyes, what is seen, so many, many different things. How come by one moment at a time experience just one object, which cannot be shaped and formed yet at all, if it doesn't arise in continuously. So we live in the world of nimitta, for sure. Of so many nimittas as panyati, it's known by its nimitta as something different from one another, snake and cat and dog and things. Can it appear as it is? As nimitta only. Nimitta of Dhamma. Even different moments, different one, like seeing and thinking and hearing and shape and form. But the truth is that whatever is there arises and falls away in split seconds, never to return, but the way it arises continuously of one object that we take for one of this and one of that, but so many moments of experiencing that to be such an object. So even right now, it's the nimitta of seeing, not one moment of seeing at all.
Thank you, Ajahn. The limit of saying it doesn't appear yet. There's more doubt when, as you were saying, when the reality doesn't appear, there must be doubt about it.
And whatever appears as nimitta, for sure.
The limit of doubt, yes.
Before it can be just one person, many nimittas of what is there to be taken for a person. Not just one arm or one leg. But what can be there can be learned to understand the truth of it, because it's there as it is. Seeing is there. No thought about the citta before seeing or after seeing, but understanding the moment of seeing as it's just a moment of experiencing an object, no matter what the object is, the seeing is not the object. And what is known, appearing, is nimitta of seeing, while there are many cittas, unknown, arising before and after seeing, but appears as the nimitta of seeing. And when there is no seeing, it's the nimitta of that which arises, experience the unknown object. What appears are only nimitta, no matter of what.
Thank you, Ajahn. I think it's time we finish. So, sawadee ka, and
Thank you.
see you all next time.